on the WDWL TV multiplex, live from the newsroom. We proudly present the pride of the station, the Two Grumpies, starring the grumpy old man. Oh, me. And the grumpy vulture. Would you like to take your bow? Take your bow. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Oh, okay. All right. Back in your corner. Hey. You want to meet the same fate as your relative there, hanging up in the studio? You best get back in the corner. Damn bird. There, look at the camera. Yeah, one of his relatives ended up hanging in the studio. I don't know if he's keeping an eye on him or whether he wants to become, a partner to the asshole bird, I have enough time putting up with one, let alone put up with two. Greetings, friends. How are we doing today? It's actually 25 degrees right now. Oh, we're in a heat wave. Yeah, well, I don't know if this cold weather's ever going to stop, for Christ's sake. Although, I got an email. Actually, I emailed my niece up in Canada. And I asked her, I says, what's the temperature like up in your area? I don't know if she's in the town, city. She said, well, right now it's minus 29. So I emailed back and I says, holy crap, minus 29? What the hell is that like? She says, as soon as you step out the door, you turn into an instant popsicle. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what. She's been up in Canada for, I'll say 5, 6, maybe 7 years. She's still having a hard time adjusting to it because she was living in sunny Florida. Yeah. She was down in Kissimmee, Florida. I think it's Kissimmee. Somewhere, around Disneyland. So that's quite an adjustment for her to go from, nice sunny 70s to minus 29. And that was a warm spell. She said the day before, it was minus 35. I was like, oh, holy yucca-fuck. Like I told you, I've been watching a lot of these documentaries on Mount Everest, and they're talking temperatures, minus 60, minus 90, up. How the hell, first of all, they don't have heaters. The tents are, as thin as your clothing. They can't carry big monster sleeping bags. How the hell do you stay warm? Now, I know, you got your big down hiking suit on and your big heavy boots, and I don't care how weatherized your sleeping bag is, approved by, Sir Edmund Hillary, I just cannot imagine in temperatures minus 60, minus 70, how the hell you stay warm. I can't imagine it. You crawl in this little flimsy tent. The wind is beating the fuck out of the tent. I saw some scenes in this documentary where everybody had to sit in a circle with their back against the tent to keep it from flapping and blowing in on them. To go through all that shit just to stand on top of a big hill. Now, I know Everest is the highest point in the world. And yes, it's bragging rights. I cannot understand why someone would want to put themselves through that shit and end up losing fingers and toes and other parts of your body just to say, oh, I stood on the top of Mount Everest. I can think of better things to do myself. And as you can see in the background here, Grumpy has been watching the data stream from the studio. This is our outgoing data stream from all of our studios. I think it's kind of neat to see all that basically going up into the cloud. Yeah, this is the data stream coming out of our servers that is going up in the cloud. I don't know which cloud, but it's going up in a cloud. Yeah, that's another thing I don't understand. They give you this, oh, your data is stored up in the cloud. Your data is stored in a data farm somewhere out in Silicon Valley. Yeah. It's a giant warehouse from floor to ceiling, front to back, with servers. Your data is not up in a cloud. It's in a square box in a building. I don't know where this cloud storage shit came from. It's in a data farm. And then what a name for a data farm. That's like I have a distant relative that is leasing part of his ranch. They put them big giant propellers on. You know, those wind turbines. Yeah. He said, now, besides being a corn and wheat and barley farmer, he's also a wind farmer. A wind farmer. I says to him, are you like jumping out of a plane with your John Deere plowing a cloud? He says, what? No. I said, then how can you say you're a wind farmer? You're not farming wind. You're farming giant propellers. Yeah, he's a wind farmer now. Just like a data farm. You don't go into this warehouse with a John Deere combine and do anything. It's all servers. Not up in a cloud. I don't know where they come up with this cloud shit. All of your data, yeah, it's transferred through the air. Yeah, it goes through the airwaves to a data farm. That's where your shit's stored. It's not in some nimble cumulus cloud that's going by overhead. I'll never forget the first time I heard that. It was not a debate, a talk. And I can't remember the host's name. And he was interviewing Steve Jobs and Mr. Microsoft. And they were talking about the future. And the term cloud storage came up. And I'm like, cloud storage? Well, the host asked Steve to explain this cloud storage. And Steve said, well, it's not actually a cloud. It's a data farm. So then the host said, well, okay, explain data farm. And Steve said, it's like 50,000 servers in a giant warehouse. And your data or your pictures, whatever, is transferred via the airwaves to these servers in this giant warehouse. And they never did answer the question, why do you call it cloud storage? Neither Steve or Bill Gates answered the question why it's called cloud storage. It's not stored in a fucking cloud. Some of the terminology they have today, like, growing up, a number sign or a tic-tac-toe screen was called a number sign. Oh, no. Now it's a hashtag. Well, it's neither a tag or hash. Why do we call it a hashtag? Is number sign like an antiquated word? We had to invent a new word for it. So does that mean when I want to play tic-tac-toe, the person I'm playing with, I don't tell them to draw a number sign anymore. I tell them to draw a hashtag. Jesus. Ugh. And then, emoji. First of all, now, I know what an emoji is. It's one of them goofy fucking symbols. Could be a smiley face. Although the emoji I like, the pile of shit, Who came up with the name emoji? Is it some foreign language? Is it like Japanese? Emoji. Why don't we call them caricatures? That's what we called them. Back in the day, if somebody drew a smiley face, it was a caricature. No, now it's got to be an emoji. Anything to confuse the fuck out of seniors. I think that's why they invent this shit. To make seniors look like assholes. I'll never forget. I was in a store, and there were two teenagers talking in front of me, and they said, "Do you keep your data on your phone?" And the girl in front of me said, "Oh, no, I send it up in the cloud." I says to her, I says, "Excuse me, which cloud are you sending it to?" Of course, she gave me a look like, "Oh, you're an asshole," I really wanted to screw with her, Which one of them clouds up there is your data in? She's like, "Oh, it's not in the cloud." I said, "Okay, then why are you sending it to a cloud if it's not in the cloud?" She just gave me a #1 salute and said, "Get away from me, asshole." Okay. Yeah. Cloud storage, emoji, hashtag. Anything to fuck with seniors. We have a hard enough time learning goddamn computers. Or operating a smartphone. Oops. Something fell on the console. Uh-oh. What fell on the console? Oh, okay. No big deal. No panic. Back to our scheduled broadcast. That's like, I have a friend, does not own a computer, and owns, I'll call it a dumb phone. He still has his original flip phone, which he's been told he has to upgrade sooner or later. And I says to him, I says, "How do you negotiate in today's world without a computer or a smartphone?" I said, "If you call anywhere, a utility, Walmart customer service, the first thing they ask you for is your email. If you don't have an email, you're like screwed. Because 99.9% of corporations nowadays deal through email. They don't send you a letter or call you on the phone. Everything is email. He doesn't own a computer. He doesn't own a smartphone. I don't know how he does business nowadays. Because no matter whether it's a utility company, your cable company, your internet provider, the first thing they ask you for is your email. You can't survive nowadays without having an email. In order to have an email, you have to have a computer or a smartphone. I don't know how he does business. Evidently, the old way, landline and a stamp on an envelope. I know today I had to call 3 different places. After they asked me my name and verified my phone number, they asked me for my email. It's common practice today. It's, back in the day, you gave your Social Security number. That causes identity theft. So to get around that, you have to have an email. If you don't have an email, I don't know how you survive today. I really don't. And if you don't have a computer or a smartphone, I don't know. I don't talk to them that often. Because when we start talking computers, dealing with him is like dealing with Richard Cranium up at the store. I just am grateful. As much as I hated typing class in grade school, that I learned to type. Because otherwise, I'd be screwed. I'd be doing the hunt and peck method. It would take me 3 hours to type an email. And I'll tell you what, I hated typing class. Oh, Jesus. Of course, we had them old Underwood typewriters where in order to type, you had to use a hammer on the keys. The goddamn thing was so old and antiquated. But at least I can sit back today and say, God, I am thankful they taught us to type. Because at my age, if somebody put a keyboard down in front of me today and said, hey, you have to negotiate online, I'd be like, what? How do I operate this? One, spell out a word. W, click. O, click. R, click. D, click. And then what do? Oh, I have to hit the space bar. Okay, space. That's what it would be like right now. If I didn't know how to type, it would take me an hour to type half a paragraph. I remember our typing teacher saying, to everybody like me that said, oh, I hate this fucking class. And she'd just stand there and go, one day you will thank me. Okay, Mrs. Underwood, thank you. She's not around anymore. That was a riot. Her name was Mrs. Underwood, and the typewriters were Underwood typewriters. Everybody was like, do you own this company? She's like, no, it's just the name of the typewriter. Of course, we would tell everybody, hey, Mrs. Underwood owns the typewriter company. She's making big bucks on the side, selling them to the school. Oh, she hated me. I think that's why I got a D- in typing, but I passed the class. Yeah, Grumpy really sucked at typing back in the day. But over the years, owning a computer, I actually got pretty good at it. I don't use 2 fingers anymore. I use 4. Just kidding. Although, a friend of mine and I were talking the other day, and, he's got 2 or 3 degrees, one of them, I'm Mr. College. And I says to him, how many times a day do you use calculus? He said, I don't. I said, what about algebra? He says, I don't. How about trigonometry? I don't. I said, they beat that shit into our head. Same thing. History. I don't care about Paul Revere's ride. It don't come up in any of the conversations I'm having. But they made us learn that shit. Oh, I hated history. And geography. That's another one. I'm not climbing no mountain in fucking Peru. I know how to negotiate to the corner store. And if I am going somewhere, I have a GPS. Yeah, all the shit we had to learn in school. I don't use any of it today. Why did they beat that shit into our head? Just so the teacher could earn a paycheck? I think that's about it. And very rarely, if I have a math problem, am I doing it in my fucking head? That's why I have a crankulator. Yeah, we got in the subject of, all the crap we had to learn in school. It ain't helping me today. So why do they jam it into our head? Now with typing, I do thank her. Even though she kept jamming it into our head. You'll thank me one day. Okay, I thank you. That was a subject I use daily. Paul Revere never comes up. Calculus problem never comes up. The location of the Andes Mountains never comes up. That's like we had to have globes, little desk ones. I don't have a globe in my living room. I don't need a globe. I don't need to know where South America is. I'm not going there. But yeah, they made us buy globes. Then, fountain pens. They made us learn to write. Or they made us learn to cursive with a fountain pen. I don't know anybody. Well, I take that back. I have one friend. One friend. That to this day writes with a fountain pen. Everybody else is using, a Bic or a ballpoint. He, from grade school, still uses a fountain pen. I look at him and I'm like, when are you going to come into 2025, Bill? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, fountain pen? I like my fountain pen. I said, well, you're about the only person I know on earth that likes a fountain pen. I think once we learned how to cursive, we threw the fountain pen away and we bought a ballpoint. Or now, a gel pen. Although back in the day, that's all we had was fountain pens. Ballpoint pens were like just coming out. Like color TVs. Growing up, we had black and white. Worked for me. Every now and then, I do enjoy watching the old movies from the 30s or 40s in black and white. Because to me, now maybe not to you, it kind of activates my imagination. I'm watching in black and white, trying to picture, okay, what's her dress color? What's his suit color? What's the color of their furniture? You know, it makes you kind of wonder. Keeps your mind active. Yeah, I tell kids nowadays, we didn't have color TV back in my day, and they're like, holy fuck, are you ancient? Boy. I tell them, yeah, I had a black and white TV in my cave. When I was riding my Tyrannosaurus Rex home from school. That's how old I am. I had one kid one day ask me if they had invented electric light bulbs when I was young. If his mother wouldn't have been standing there, I'd have backhanded him. Yeah. Did they have electric light bulbs when you were a kid? No. We had candles. Yeah. Ask me if we had electric light bulbs when I was growing up. No. Me and Thomas Edison were still working on it at the time. It's like I told them. I said, I had one of the first cell phones. I said, all it did was make phone calls and received phone calls. He said, how did you send a text message? I couldn't. The phone wasn't that advanced. He was like, holy shit, are you fucking old? When his mother wasn't looking, I did backhand him. Brat. Oh yeah, you talk to kids nowadays. They think you're a dinosaur, you know. Did they have refrigerators when you were growing up? No, we buried our food in the ground. Did we have refrigerators? Kids today, although they have all these conveniences, they're growing up with them. You know, my buddy's 3-year-old grandson can negotiate a goddamn iPad faster than him and I combined. But they grow up with it. To them, it's hard to imagine. No microwave, no color TV, no cell phone, no computer. You know, they say the millennials have seen the most advancement in their lives? I say no. The baby boomers, like me, they have seen technology advance faster. We were around for the inception of color TV, microwave ovens, cell phones, computers. Our generation saw a bigger advancement in technology. They see a more rapid advancement. That's what I keep arguing. You know, they're like, oh, the millennials. No. The millennials have seen things advance faster. Like, you know, every year the goddamn cell phones are getting better and better and better. We were around for the invention of the cell phone. I had one of the first ones, the good old Motorola brick. And it's hard for kids today to imagine. All we could do is make and receive a phone call. They got their cell phones. They're sending a text message and watching the latest movie. It don't ring a bell with them. You know, they're like, you had a cell phone and all you could do is make a phone call? Yeah. And it was cool. I'll never forget when I first got mine. I stood in front of my neighbor's house and I made a phone call. I called him. He said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm out in front of your house." "How are you talking to me?" "I have a cell phone." And he was like, "What's a cell phone?" I said, "Come on out and I'll show it to you." And I showed him my Motorola brick. Then he said, "Can I call someone?" I said, "Yeah." So he called one of his relatives. He goes, "You'll never guess. I'm on a cell phone." And they were the same way. "What's a cell phone?" "It's some wireless little box that I hold in my hand." You know, that's like back in my day. We had a comic strip. I don't know if it's still around. I don't get the paper. Dick Tracy. And he had like gadgets of the future. And he had what they called a wrist radio. Well, almost everybody owns one today. It's called a smartwatch. But back in the 50s, they were talking about basically smartwatches. Yeah, Dick Tracy and his wrist radio. He could talk to, you know, back in the 50s, Dick Tracy had a smartwatch. There was something that we didn't even know was going to exist. But that comic strip writer, I'll tell you what, he had an imagination. Because when he first debuted Dick Tracy with his wrist radio, that was the front runner today's modern smartwatch. That guy had a hell of an imagination. Now me, I don't have one of them. I don't know, do they make an Android smartwatch? All I know is Apple. You know, everybody's got an Apple. Not me. I'm cheap. The price of that shit. You know, everybody said, oh, Apple, they're wonderful products. Maybe they are. But I can't see how they justify the price of that stuff. Goddamn $1,000 for a goddamn iPhone 16 Pro Max Godzilla. I got an Android phone. Motorola. Moto G stylus. Because Grumpy needs to use a stylus. I paid $2.99. And to me, that was expensive. But it was one of them situations where it was a one-time only color. Cosmic green. And Grumpy had to have it. Plus, I broke my previous phone. And I thought, goddamn, $300 for a goddamn cell phone. And then, I hear goddamn Apple iPhones, $900, $1,100. It's a phone. I don't know how Apple justifies them prices. And there's some people I know. I got a friend. Everything he owns is an Apple product. He's got an Apple Tower computer that cost him like $3,000. And then he's got 2 iPads and 2 iPhones. And him and his wife got iWatches. And I was like, Jesus Christ, you just financed Tim Cook's new Rolls Royce with all the shit that you got. And he's really pissed that Apple don't make a flat screen TV. He's looking for a new TV right now. And I talked to him Sunday. And he said, I can't believe it. I went to Walmart. And he said they had every fucking TV under the sun except an Apple TV. I said, Apple don't make a TV. He says, yeah, I know. I wanted one. I said, why? Because you're indebted to Apple? You own stock in the company with all the shit that you bought from Apple? Well, Apple makes the best. I said, you know what? Apple products, all of their products, are made in China. Along with almost every goddamn TV on Earth. Just because it says Apple on it don't mean it's any better. I learned the hard way with a Chinese-made TV. That really pissed me off. At one time, RCA was the world leader in radios and televisions. They made the best. So when I needed a new flat screen, I bought an RCA. Because my grandparents had an RCA radio that was about this fucking high, a big tower, that back in the 70s was still working like brand new. And they bought it in the 40s. Matter of fact, my grandmother used to listen to the ball game all the time. It was right next to the couch. Beautiful wood cabinet, but it was a monstrosity. So, knowing the quality of RCA, Grumpy buys an RCA flat screen. 2.5 years later, it takes a shit. Only to find out it made in China. So when it came time for me to replace the goddamn thing, I said, no more Chinese TVs. So I bought a Samsung, made in Mexico. Now, it's the American division of Samsung. The plant in Mexico is owned by Americans and supervised by Americans with very strict quality control. Because after the RCA took a shit, I called Samsung of America. And I said, where are your TVs made? And the girl said, Mexico. I says, okay, elaborate. Well, we own the company down there. We own the building. And of course, we hire Mexicans or whoever, but all of the production and quality control is under American supervision. And she said, we test on a regular basis. Every time that TV leaves a certain station to move on for assembly, we randomly blind test. I was like, okay, I'm going to buy one of your TVs. And I'll tell you what, every time I turn that TV on, it amazes me because it's got what that's called liquid crystal display. Well, all that means is it's got 10,000 more pixels per square inch, whatever a pixel is. All I know is all them little pixels make a fantastic television. I was watching a nature program, and there was a big waterfall. And I actually looked at the bottom of the TV to make sure there wasn't water coming out of it. That's how realistic this crystal display is. Now, am I going to get 10 years out of it? I doubt it. See, we're a throwaway society. We don't look for longevity. Matter of fact, I have good friends. I've known them since middle school. Every 5 years, they buy a new microwave, they buy a new washer and dryer, they buy a new flat screen, and I'm like, why? We figure 5 years It's gone through its life cycle. We don't want it to break down. I said, hey, next time you buy a washer or dryer or refrigerator, I'll take your old one. Yeah, 5 years. It ain't no good no more. I couldn't believe it. I almost fell out of my chair. Because she told me they were out looking at televisions. I said, oh, did your television go bad? She said, no, it's 5 years old. I says, okay. What's that got to do with it? It's lived its life. I said, you're not making any sense. Yeah, 5 years. It could break tomorrow. I said, yeah. Or you could get another 5 years out of it. Oh, no. It won't last that long. They have this in their head. 5 years is the longevity of an appliance. And they just go replace it. So I told her, I said, when you get your new TV, I want your old one. She said, why? I says, I need another monitor. Because you can use these flat screens for monitors. I says, I'm working on an idea, and I need a bigger monitor. She says, okay. When we get the new TV, we'll drop the old one off. It's only 5 years old. Now, all well and good, maybe I'll get a week out of it. And then maybe I'll get 10 years out of it. But this is typical of today's society. We are a throwaway world. Of course, these new flat screens, you can't fix them. When they go, they go. It broke my heart carrying that 58-inch RCA flat screen out to the curb for trash pickup. But we can't fix them. We don't fix things anymore. We throw them away. And they're built that way. Everything. Vacuum cleaners, throw it away. Back in the day, there was, within 5 miles of my house, there were at least 5 vacuum cleaner repair shops. Not today. Because we don't fix them. We throw them away. Although everything is made like crap today. Perfect example. I had a popcorn maker, a rival. Okay? It was 15 years old. And it finally quit. So I said, I'm going to buy another rival. When it arrived, I took it out of the box. And it weighed about 1/4 of what the old one weighed. And I'm like, this thing ain't going to last. And of course, I looked on the bottom and it said, made in China. No quality to it whatsoever. Got the cheapest goddamn aluminum, Bakelite plastic on the bottom or stuff. It don't weigh nothing. My old one, you almost had to use two hands to pick it up. But guess what, folks? The box that it came in was made in America. We didn't make the popcorn maker, but we made the cardboard box that it came in. Yeah, the box said made in America. Popcorn maker made in China. I doubt I will get 3 years out of it, where I got 15 out of the other one. But that was when it was made in America by Americans who took pride in their workmanship. Not today. The greedy corporations would rather eliminate jobs in America, pay the Chinese about 1/5 an hour than what they're made here in America, and allow them to make crap and then put their name on it. I'd be embarrassed to put my name on some of this goddamn shit. Of course, everybody said, what good does it do you bitching about it, Grumpy? You ain't going to change anything. And no, I'm not. But it just really breaks my heart to see all the wonderful items that were made here by Americans who took pride in their job to ship it overseas, have it made with the crappiest components possible, and built to quit. Because we're that type of society. We just accept it. If we get 3 years out of something, okay. It's sad. And everybody said, like, Grumpy, why are you worried about longevity? You're an old bastard. You want the appliance to last longer than you? Not really. But I would like it to last as long as me. I don't want to go, think down the line, oh shit, 3 years from now I got to buy another popcorn maker or I got to buy another microwave. But we don't make anything to last nowadays. Because we don't look for longevity. Like my friends. 5 years, throw it away. Whether it's working or not. Because it ain't going to last longer than 5 years. That's their mental train of thought. That TV ain't going to last longer than 5 years. I want it for 2 reasons. 1, I have a plan for a big monitor. 2, if it lasts another 5 years, I want to rub it in and say, look, you got rid of this and I got another 5 years out of it. You could have had it 10 years. But no. And I told her, I said, you buy another washer or dryer, and yours is still working, I'll buy them off of you. And she's like, oh, no. I said, just keep that in the back of your mind. When it comes time to buy a washer or dryer or refrigerator, I want the old one. Because I want to prove a point. And maybe it's just for my satisfaction. And maybe they're right. Maybe I got to change my thinking. And look at things like, that ain't going to last more than 4 or 5 years. I know everybody's out there going, Grumpy, you're an asshole. Okay. I've been called worse. All right, I'm going to step down off my soapbox. That's another. I said that one day. I'm going to step off my soapbox. And the little kid next door went, you're not standing on a soapbox. And what's a soapbox? I was like, oh, go away. Go play in traffic. Go run around on the freeway. You're not standing on a soapbox. And what's a soapbox? Kids. But I'll step off my soapbox. And I'm up one more subscriber. I'm up to 54 as of today. So whoever number 54 is, thank you very much. I'm on my goal to 60. Only need 6 more. Yes, Grumpy has gone from 53 to 54. I was ecstatic. I looked at my subscribers like, holy yatchapuck, I'm at 54. Somebody subscribed last night or the night before because I don't check regularly anymore because, but yes. So whoever number 54 is, thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated. And shocking. I have another person that believes in me or wants to get the notification going, oh, this asshole's going to be on a tirade again tonight. Let's see what he's going to be on his tirade. Oh, what he's going to bitch about. And with that, I think we'll play our outro music, and I'll get muted in some country that I'm not allowed to play it in. Yeah, I keep getting them warnings. You're playing copyrighted music. I don't think MGM cares. No. Oh, this tablet's got a mind of its own. There we go. Our outro music. Yes, we know where. The WDWL TV multiplex. Somewhere around 7 p.m. I'm getting better. I'm getting closer. One of these days, I'll be on time. I promise, people. And with that, where's my clicker? That's what I forgot to do today. I have to make the cursor larger. And with that, friends, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay warm, and I will meet you again tomorrow night. And with that,